recording. So we'll discuss here in this lab first DTP, then we'll move to VTP, then we'll move to SVI, switch virtual interface. And apart from that, we'll discuss DTP means dynamic trunking protocol. In this trunking concept also we'll discuss, and VTP, VLAN trunking protocol, and SVS, which virtual interfaces, how will communicate two different VLANs, or if we requirement we have a inter-VLAN routing, means need for the different VLAN communication. Those also here will configure. So for that, I'll take here distribution switches. Those are the multi-layer switches. 3 switches I'll take. This is a mock lab, you can assume, like it's a switching lab, big lab we are doing now. So here I'll take access switches, something like 4. And here we'll take some PCs, end users. Connectivity. So DTP has how many modes? Anyone can. DTP. What is DTP and what will achieve with the yes?
Data dynamic auto, dynamic reserve. DTP, which is like negotiating the information.
Which information it will be negotiate?
In between the switches.
Which information? Okay, it will be negotiate the information. Good. It will be negotiate the trunking information.
The trunk between the DTP devices.
Yes. Trunking information, it will be negotiated. And how many modes?
2.
Okay, what are those?
Dynamic auto and dynamic desirable.
Okay, by default mode is
Auto, dynamic auto.
okay, if I want to change the VTP mode, sorry, DTP mode to auto to desirable, so which command I have to use?
.1Q.
The .1Q, it's we are statically we are configuring again switch port mode and switch port trunk encapsulation .1Q. That is we are statically we are configuring, but dynamically dynamic mode also we have for configuration part. Anyone can.
You can use like switch port mode.
Switch port mode, then
dynamic desirable.
Yes, good. Dynamic desirable. So dynamically we are establishing or negotiating trunking with DTP.
Yeah.
So here we'll take the IP addresses like VLAN 10 means the IP address is 192. So 192.168.10.1. This is a SVI interface of VLAN 10. VLAN 10 IP address. So virtually we are creating, and VLAN 20 is 20. Here we'll change the bit only. This host bit on this network bit only will change 20, 30, 40, 50 based on the VLANs, and we'll configure this PCs. The IP address is like 192.168, 10.10 for this PC and 10.20 for this PC. And same thing, we'll configure 20.10 and 20.20 and 30.10 and 30.20. This is our IP scheme. So first we'll configure DTP as we discussed, and by default mode is in DTP by default mode is dynamic auto. So
Auto.
for yes, we have to check which mode, like if we want to troubleshoot something, so we have a command through that mode, which mode are presently that switch is having. So we have a command if anyone know. So how to check that thing?
Show interface fast Ethernet switch port.
This is a command. Okay, can check here. So dynamic auto, statically access and negotiation. If you want to no negotiate it, so simply use the switch port no negotiation command. With this command, it will be statically we should have to enable the trunking. So by default, DTP is enabled on Cisco switches. By default, enabled, and DTP also Cisco proprietary protocol. So I'll configure only in a single command through these switches. All the switches are make it as a trunk. So we don't want to waste our time now. So simply config T. If you want to check show interface trunk is established or not, with this command we can verify it. No trunk is happen in this switch also. You can check on this switch also. Before that we'll verify trunk is are there or not. Show interface trunk. Trunk is there, no trunk. Trunk is not formed, no initiated trunk, no negotiation. In this access switches also you can check show interface trunk. With this command no initiated trunk. So all the switches no negotiation. But if you want to check which mode in which mode these switches, so interface fast Ethernet 0/1 and switch port mode. So dynamic auto. So here this is one is the DA. These all are the switches are DA. This one also DA, and this all the switches are DA. Dynamic. These are all are the dynamic auto. Just I'll configure here dynamic desirable DD, and this switch also DD. Same thing, same concept I'll do. This is the DA and this one is the DA. So trunk will be established in between. Trunk here also in between trunk will be established. And here also trunk will be established. By default, both are in DA mode. So that is the reason the port is like access port. Access port. If you want to verify it, yes, you can verify it through, just now we verified through this command. So here you can check the port is access, static access. So now trunk is established. We'll verify now. Only one command. So first I'll take a range of switch. So interface range from fast Ethernet 0/1, 0/2, 0/3, 0/4, and 0/5. These are all the four ports. Fast Ethernet 0/1 to 5. Range command you can check. This is the range command. So which command we have to use? Switch port mode dynamic desirable. Only one command. One port will be down and one after then they will back to on. Same thing we'll do here also, because here DA and here we are not changing anything in this switch. Here still DA only. This switch is DA, dynamic auto only. And this switch will configure. Same thing we'll do. Enable config terminal interface range fast Ethernet 0/1 to 5. And you can check the verify also ports. First Ethernet 0/1, 0/2, 0/3, 0/4, and 0/5. These are the ports. And simply switch port, mode, dynamic, desirable. You can check now. Once STP sessions will be established, the spanning tree, then it will be, once port will be up, then we'll verify it. Now ports are here up. You can verify from here. Earlier, no trunk is formed in between. No trunk is there. Now you can check the same command. Show interface trunk. Yes, we form it. But still it is mode is auto. Through negotiation, trunk is formed. Trunk is established through negotiation. So how many VLANs it will be carry? 12005. If you are using transparent mode, the transparent mode will support all the standard VLANs range also. It will be support transparent switch will support all the VLAN information. Though, so here, this is our and VTP will discuss. This is a server switch, and this one is a server. This is a transparent switch. This is our. This one is our transparent switch, and this one is like you can check before that DTP once will finish, then we'll move to the VTP. First, we'll verify the entire thing. Show interface fast Ethernet and 0/1 and switch port mode. Here you can check. So earlier, no trunk. Now you can check dynamic auto, but trunk is established. Operational status is trunk. And encapsulation .1 queue is by default enabled in Cisco switches in packet tracer. In real time, that is the different scenario, but here the .1 queue is enabled in L2 switches. Here, earlier, what it will be happened, the mode is access. This is a previous configuration, previous command, but now you can check the changes happen here. Trunk. The same thing, every switch, the same configuration it will be happen. So only one line configuration, we make it as a all the ports as a trunk, all the switches in between. That is the use cases. So here also trunk is established. One command will verify the all switches, show interface trunk. So you can check. So here we have a fast Ethernet 0/1, fast Ethernet 0/2, fast Ethernet 0/3, fast Ethernet 0/5. All the ports having trunk through negotiation, but the desirable mode. Mode is desirable. So, okay. So same thing here also. So interface trunk. This is all about the DTP concept. DTP configuration is trunk we established through one command only. That is what our, this is the only command. We select as a range, then we move to desirable mode. This is all about DTP. Now move to VTP, VLAN trunking protocol. It will be propagate the VLAN information. Now still we can check here how many VLANs we have. Show VTP status. So by default mode is server. You can check here. By default mode is server, and by default version 1. But the switches having by default version is 1, and by default mode is server mode. Every switch, the mode is server only. Show interface, sorry, show VTP status. Through this command we can verify. Show VTP status. Through this we can command we can verify it. So here you can check. So this is the server mode. This is our server mode. And if you want to change the mode, I'll show you. But meanwhile, we'll see here this what is the mode and this switch also which mode presently. VTP mode. So VTP status, sorry. But this command we can verify. This is a server mode. So all the switches having the same mode, that is server mode only. All the switches. So make sure we have to configure these switches are the server. So here you can check. Click on this. Select. This is a server mode and server MLS 1 switch. This is a server multi-layer switch 1. Multi-layer switch 1. And this one is our server switch and MLS 2. We'll give the host name also same and DD. So for that, the configuration part will do config T and just command is VTP. Here, just give the question mark. You can verify. We have to configure the domain name, mode, and password and version. These are the 3 commands. 4 commands we have to use here. First one is domain name. Domain name should be matched. If you are configuring password, it have to match. It should have to match. And version, whichever you are using version, same version you make sure same version you have to use. Otherwise, some problem will be occurred. So VTP domain name I am using here. So Cisco only. Cisco is our domain name. Cisco switches and using Cisco. And VTP password I am using 123. So setting device the database password to set. And VTP anything else like version is 2. And VTP already its mode is VTP mode is server. You can check VTP modes. Client mode is there, server mode is there, and transparent mode is there. And client mode, it won't propagate the VLAN information. It will propagate the VLAN information, but we cannot add, we cannot delete. And server mode only we can delete. We can delete, we can add, we can changes anything. And transparent mode also we can do changes, but it won't propagate the VLAN that it's himself information. It will propagate whichever receiving information. So server mode. So here you can check already the VTP name mode is server. Already mode is server. So this is the configuration. We have to configure and every switches.
Just a second. So why VTP 2? I mean version 2.
Is version 2. So here the
Okay, capability.
Yes, it will be some like it will be accept. It in this proning will not happen. That is the legacy thing only, and the token ring, as we discussed in theoretical, token ring concept is there. It will be not support, but VTP version 2 will support.
Okay.
Those are the difference only. And version 1 is legacy version and version 2 is a new version. And we have one more version also, version 3. The version 3 only extended VLAN will be support. Up to this version 2, standard VLANs only support. If you are using transparent mode, again, extended range will be also support here. Extended range also support. Mode if transparent.
Oh.
VTP domain name is Cisco. And this is a transparent switch. And VTP password is 123. And VTP version should be matched. And VTP mode is transparent. So these are the configuration. The setting changes now. Earlier, the mode is already the switch told. Here you can say the mode is already, but here the mode is changed. So same configuration we'll do here also. Config T and VTP domain name is Cisco. Make sure the domain name should be matched entire LAN segment, LAN switches. VTP password we are configuring, so it have to match. And VTP version is 2 and VTP mode is server. This is the configuration we did, and client switches also will do. Now, config terminal and VTP domain name is Cisco. So once you configured VTP mode client, so the mode is changed now. Here you cannot change this. You cannot create the something like VTP version. If you want to change, it won't accept. So cannot modify version. So cannot modify version in VR mode is in client mode. We cannot modify version in VTP client
Oh.
mode. You can check here. If you have to change the mode, then you have to use no command. Just use no command before this. We removed and now check VTP version is 2. Now it's changed. So up to here you can just go through these commands. Just read these commands. Before that I did from here to here. Just check. Just I have configured VTP mode as a client. Then I plan to change the version. So it is not accepted. So again, I removed the VTP mode as a client and I changed the mode. Then I'll configure password also. VTP password 123 and VTP mode is client.
The first one's supposed to be like server, right?
Yes.
But you're given like client.
Yes, these all are the clients. These all are the client switches. And why I am giving means I don't want to configure VLAN 10 here, VLAN 20 here, VLAN 30 here, VLAN 40 here. Just it will propagate that VLAN information. That is the reason. I don't want to configure the entire. If you have 100 of switches, here we have again multiple switches. So we have to configure entire thing. So for time saving part, we are using the VTP concept only. If we have 100 switches, so in that switch, it will propagate that VLAN information simply.
Now, first initially here, you can see the first one is like this one is like server multi-layer switch, right?
Why
This
only you are
will
asking?
this one, yeah.
Hmm.
And the next one is transparent, and the last one is client, right?
Yes.
When you're configuring the last one, no, when you're configuring the third switch, you're given the mode as like server. Can you please check
This is
that?
yes, this one is
Yeah.
a server switch only. Yes, I have configured as a server switch only. If you want to check,
Okay.
show VTP status.
Mm-hmm.
Why I configured means, so
Mm-hmm.
this is a different location and this one is a different location. Even though I have taken the same domain name only, if you want, you can
Okay.
change the domain name also. You can change the domain name also.
Okay.
Change the domain name also. That time that propagation will be happen in these switches only. The propagation will be happen, VTP propagation, VTP negotiation will be happen on these switches only. If you are
Okay. If
changing
you're
the domain.
given, if you're given the same domain name for the layer for the multi-layer switch 1 and multi-layer switch 3, then all the information which has been happened in the server domain, the same information will come out to the same server, same domain, right? Same server. Then
Yes,
what we
it
are doing,
have
what we
to.
are making. Okay.
It
Then what we
have
are
to,
making
but
the any difference? Okay.
it has to receive that whichever the VLAN we are creating here, it has to receive
Mm-hmm.
here, but we'll check.
Mm-hmm.
In packet traces,
Okay.
sometime it will be support, sometime it will be not support, but in real time, it will be share that information because transparent, what we discuss, transparent switch will be propagate that
Just
VLAN information.
exactly.
Hmm.
Okay. Fine. Finally. Yeah.
I'll show you small lab also for that.
Yeah. No.
So here, so these all are the client switches, right? So enable. What we'll do, we'll copy paste the information. VTP. More for before that, I will create domain name as a Cisco. and VTP password is 123 and VTP version is 2 and VTP mode is client. We'll copy this entire information. Do show history from here. Domain name, password, version, and client. Mode is client. Just I'll copy from here. We'll paste the switch also. All the switches. Config. Just right click and paste it. So VTP status. VTP password is so interface trunk. Trunk should be have. So here you can check the trunk and VTP status also. Show VTP status is done. Now move to here and we'll create some VLANs on this switch. We'll check before that how many VLANs are there. VLAN brief. So VLAN brief. So by default, VLANs only we have right now in client switches also. These all are our client switches. By default, VLANs only we have in these switches. You can check for this switch also, entire switches. So VLAN brief. These all are the client switches. So VTP status. So now move to configure VLANs config T. VLAN 10 and VLAN 20 and VLAN 30. Just I'm creating VLAN 40. I have created. Now you can check here. So VLAN brief. So we have created VLAN 10, 20, 30, and 40 on server switch. So VTP status. Here you can check. This is a server switch we have created. So total number of VLANs we have 9 VLANs. Earlier we have 5 VLANs. This is a 4 and this is a 4 and this is we created now. Just we have this is the earlier VLAN by default VLAN. So total we have a 9 VLAN information. Here we have, here you can check. So this is a CR value. Based on this CR value, it will be receive the updates. So CR value, configuration revision number or configuration revision. This is the number through it will be receive the information, VTP information. Whichever the highest value, that information, those client switches will be accept. So now you can check here. So we got the VLAN information or not. So VLAN brief. So yes, we got the VLAN information where we created on server switch. So VLAN brief. Here we got through which CR value show VTP status. So the value is 8. If the value is 8 here, CR value definitely will get show VTP status. So value is 8 here. Yes, we got the value. So VLANs also show VLAN brief. Which VLAN we are now? So VLAN, or now we are in MLS 2. This switch also got. So now you can check here the information is available or not. A transparent switch. So VLAN information is available or not. So VTP status, before that we'll check CR value. No CR value. See, CR value is 0. So no VLAN information it will be received. So VTP VLAN brief. So VLAN brief. This is a transparent switch. So in transparent switch only, no VLAN information. So we'll create something. Config T will create VLAN 100, VLAN 150, VLAN 160, VLAN 170, VLAN something 200. We'll create some VLANs. If you want to change name, you can change it. That VLAN information, these switches will got or not, we'll check. This switch, multi-layer switch 2. Show VLAN brief. No, we have not received till those VLANs only, which VLAN we created in this MLS 1, in this multi-layer switch, whichever I have created, that VLAN information only we have. Here also you can check. So show VLAN brief. Yes, here also those VLANs only we have. If you want to modify something, config T, modify means give any VLAN name. Name is like 10. We'll try to give name something HR. Just I have modified here. I have modified. Earlier CR value is 8. Now you can check the value is show VTP status. So 9. Now changed, it will be 9. Triggered update. Here you can check. We just now we modified something. So here you got that earlier the VLAN name is by default name. Just now we changed, modified the VLAN. Yes. If you want to delete the VLAN information, yes, you can delete. Config T and no VLAN 20, no VLAN 30, no VLAN 40. Check now here. The and CR value will, before that we'll check the CR value. So VTP status. So 12. Earlier it was 9 and now it is 12. We changed 3 steps we did. One is removed, that VLAN 10 is we removed. No, we changed something, but here you can change something we did. So 4 steps we did. That is the reason. How many steps you are modifying something, it will be CR value will be increased likewise. So now you can check. Earlier we have it these 20, 30, 40 VLANs. Now you can check. No, we lost that VLAN information. We can delete, we can modify, we can create. Now you can check. I'm planning to create now here in this client mode, config T, VLAN, show VLAN. Before that, we'll check the VLAN is available on show VLAN brief. So only VLAN 10 is available in this switch. Chalo, we'll create VLAN 20. Config T, VLAN 20. Read here what happened. VTP VLAN configuration not allowed when the device is in client mode. The device is in client mode, it will be not accepted. We cannot create, we cannot delete, we cannot modify anything, but it will propagate that VLAN information, that much only. If some more switch also, one switch is here. This one also client switch. This one also client switch. if this one is a client switch, the connected likewise. So before that, we have to enable the trunk. Trunk should be enabled in switches. So it will propagate that VLAN information, but we cannot create in client mode and all. We cannot create the anything. Enable config T, just paste earlier configuration. So it's a domain name Cisco and password and version and mode is client. This one also client mode, and we'll configure the trunk mode now. Interface fast Ethernet 0x1 switch port mode dynamic desirable. Now you can check show interface trunk. This trunk is established. Wait for a while, the port will be up. Now we'll modify something or we'll change something on this switch. Again, it will be propagate that information or not, we'll check. Planning tree, the port is still in learning state. Still learning state only. It will be take 30 to 45 seconds. Port will be up. So now forwarding state, you can check. Now forwarding state. Now our next concept is STP, spanning tree protocol. Why it is behaving like that, we'll discuss later on sessions. So show VLAN brief. So I haven't configured anything, but so here you can check the VLAN 10 we got. So this switch is propagating that VLAN information. This switch is only sending the information. So we verified and transparent also propagating. But if you want to configure something, config P VLAN 10. So you cannot configure. So it is a security thing also. In access switches, so no one can add. Who will add? Only the responsible persons only can add VLAN information. If you want to delete also, you cannot delete also. If you want to delete, no VLAN 10. So we cannot remove also. We cannot modify, we cannot remove anything. So by default, VLAN 10 is there. If I'm planning to change the some name, for that is the reason I'll use this command. I cannot modify also, and I cannot remove also here. I cannot remove also. So in client mode. This is all about VTP. Guys, anyone have any questions? And VTP, just will create VLANs again. If you have any questions, ask me. VLAN 10 is there, and VLAN 20 will create configure, VLAN 30 and VLAN 40 will configure. And in this switch will configure different VLANs for this switch. Can configure here also, no issue. But I am configuring here VLAN 40 and VLAN 50 and VLAN 60 and VLAN 70. These are the VLANs. Show VLAN brief. You can check the every VLAN is available on the switches. So now move to SVI configuration. So switch virtual interfaces. How will configure it? So quickly I will configure. Config T interface. So what is the requirement for switch virtual? If we want to configure two different VLANs, like VLAN 10 wants to communicate by default, the VLAN 10 and 20, they will not communicate. We'll verify that also. So before that, show VLAN brief. With this command, we'll verify that VLANs. So here we have VLAN 10 and 20. So we need only VLAN 10 for this. Config T interface fast Ethernet will take as a range. Range is fast Ethernet 0/3 to 2 to 3. 2 and this is a 2 and this one 3. And switch port mode access. And switch port access VLAN 10. and this much only. Show running configuration, will verify. So these are the access port, and this one is a trunk port. By default, this is a DA mode. That is the reason we cannot see here, but trunk is established in between. Show interface trunk through DTP. Through DTP, we establish a trunk, and this many VLANs are sending through this trunk port. This many VLAN information it is sending. If you want to communicate, yes, we can communicate these all the VLANs. So here we'll configure the same thing. Config T interface fast range fast Ethernet 0/223, and switch port mode is access, and switch port access VLAN 20. Now check show running configuration. So these are the ports we configured 2 and 3. These are the access ports. Now we'll verify give the IP address and verify it. Give the IP address to desktop and give the IP address 192.168.10.10, and the default gateway is 192.168.10.1, and close it. And this one is desktop IP 192.168.10.20, and default gateway is 192.168.10.1, and we'll configure this PC. Only one PC will take 192.168.20.10, and our subnet mask, and this is the default gateway 192.168.20.1. This is default gateway. Now try to ping from same VLAN, ping 192.168.10.20 from this PC to this PC. Both are in VLAN 10 only. Now try to ping different VLAN. I'm audible, guys? Ping 192.168.20.10. So different VLANs we cannot able to reach. Different VLANs we cannot able to ping. So for that, what we have to do? So we need a L3 device. Here we have the L3 device. So we'll create virtual interfaces on that. So here, this is a VLAN 10 IP address. The default gateway will take this one, and VLAN 20 will take the IP address of this 20.1, and it's a VLAN 20. So we'll configure these two things here. So VLAN brief can verify who VLANs we have. So show IP interface brief. We haven't assigned, we haven't getting that VLAN information. Now we'll configure SVI switch virtual interfaces. Virtual interfaces we are creating. So these all are the by default interfaces, physical interfaces. Those are the physical interfaces. Now we are creating virtual interface. Config T interface VLAN 10, and give the IP address to that interface. VLAN 10 IP address is 192.168.10.1. 192.168.10.1, and give the subnet mask 255.255.255.0, and no need to use no shutdown also. By default, it's up only. Here you can check, it's up only. So one more interface VLAN 20, and give the IP address. IP address is 192.168.20.1, and subnet mask is 255.255.255.0, and use no shutdown, no issue, and check show IP interface brief. Make sure the port is up. So here you can check, I have created 2 VLANs. Earlier we don't have interfaces, virtual interfaces. Here you can check only VLAN 1 is there by default VLAN. Now here you can check. So we created 2 VLANs. So still something missing here. So we have to enable. So by default, the L3 this is a L3 multi-layer switch only, but it is acting as like L2 only. So for that, how will verify? Show IP route. With this command, will verify routing table. So no routing table is there. So we have to enable the routing here. Config T IP routing. With this command, we can enable routing. So now you can check show IP route. So routing also okay. Now try to ping from this. Earlier the ping is not initiate, not happen. Now try to ping. So now we can establish a ping also. So for your task is here, you have to configure same likewise configuration which I did here. So just create interfaces VLAN 10 and give the IP address for the that interfaces. So I'll copy it chart box, I'll paste it for reference. This is the interface, virtual interface, and this is the IP address you have to give. Then only it will be accepted. This is the IP address. This is your task. Do entire switches, all the switches, whichever and our task is there. So here for this switch VLAN 30 and for this switch VLAN 40, remove this switch just to VTP part we have taken. Just delete it. And this switch is VLAN 50 and give the IP addresses on these switches and assign the IP addresses for these switches also, your wish. But take the range is like whichever I have taken 192.168.10. Instead of 10, 20, instead of 30, instead of 40, you can take whichever the VLAN is there. Instead of that, and there you can take the IP addresses. This is your task. If you have any questions.
So let's say we have done that. So after doing that, can we ping from our system 10.10 to all the way to the PC 15?
Yes, it will be possible. That is what you should have to ping from this PC to this PC also, this PC to this PC also. Make a reachability entire switch here, this LAN segment to entire switches, entire LAN segment. You have to make possibility to reachability. So with the basis of SVI only, that is what SVI. Make sure enable IP routing also. If IP routing, if you are not enabling, so it won't work. By default, it's a L2 device.
Oh, you was stopped.
Now I am audible. By default, the switch is L2. It will be acting as L2. So for that, you have to enable IP routing command. IP routing. Then only it will be work. Otherwise, it won't work. So apart from that,